Hey, this is Ben and Rob, and today we're going to be talking with Nick Pope. Ben and I are going to be going to Contact in the Desert.
In June.
It's June,
June.
Early June. We're actually really excited about that.
Yeah. So Nick's going to be one of the guest speakers there, who was in the Ministry of Defense in the UK, and he's been one of the main reporters for investigating UFO kind of activity, and we have him on the line right now. So we're really excited to talk to Nick. Welcome to the show, Nick. Nick.
Thanks, it's great to be on.
So let's start with the Contact of the Desert. Like, tell us a little bit what you're going to be doing, and how excited you are, and what you're going to be talking about. And then we can start jumping into more detailed stuff.
Well, I'm very excited to be coming back to Contact in the Desert. It's not just a conference; it's really an experience, and there's a kind of whole family of people in this community there, exchanging information, swapping ideas, speculating, having fun. And I'm going to be giving two presentations, basically, a lecture talking about extraterrestrial technology, and a really speculative workshop getting into the whole question, very controversial, aliens and religion.
So let's go right into the alien technology part. Well, what do you think would happen if humans got this kind of technology from aliens? What do you think this kind of technology could actually be? And maybe, is it possible that we already have this kind of technology?
I think, to borrow a phrase, it would be the best of times and the worst of times. I mean, the positives here are that if we could acquire extraterrestrial technology, I mean, the sky's the limit. All sorts of speculation about what that might entail: unlimited, cheap, clean, maybe free energy, and of course, propulsion system. Eventually, life on Earth will become impossible to sustain because of the sun heating up and expanding. If the human adventure isn't to both begin and end here, ultimately we will need to travel to the stars, and we're going to need the technology to do that. So the question becomes, is there alien technology out there that might help us do this? Now, this is a very, very speculative presentation. We don't know for sure that there are even aliens out there. I'm not one of these people, despite having worked for the government, that thinks we've got spaceships hidden away in hangars somewhere. But, it's fascinating to speculate about that. And at Contact in the Desert, I know there are a whole bunch of my fellow speakers and attendees who are a little bit more conspiratorial about this, and who probably think I know all about it anyway, and I'm just part of the cover-up.
You must have seen a lot of weird footage of UFOs, unidentified flying objects, all across Britain, a lot of different reports. Can you tell us what the weirdest thing you saw was?
Well, we had an absolute archive of photos and videos. I think the strangest thing was when I started that job, there was a huge enlargement of a photograph on the office wall opposite where I sat, and it was a huge diamond-shaped silver craft, and this was something that my predecessor had dealt with, and it was almost literally like the poster on Fox Mulder's wall in the X-Files. It didn't have "I want to believe" written on it, but it pretty much might have done, and this was apparently looked at by intelligence specialists, and they said, we have no idea what it is. It's not an aircraft, it's not a drone, it's unknown. And it was massive, and this was a picture taken in Scotland in August in broad daylight.
Kind of going back to the this whole initiative with Tom DeLonge and the Pentagon's secret UFO program, do you think this is kind of a precursor for possible future releases, or do you think things are going to get bigger this year, or more things are going to come out, or what's your take on it?
This is a huge story. I mean, there's no getting away from the fact that this has pushed the whole UFO phenomenon out of the fringe into the mainstream. As I say, the New York Times, the Washington Post hardly ever touch this subject, and now it's not only all over the Times and the Post, but NBC, ABC, CNN, Fox. It's everywhere, and it's not even a political issue. So it really is right across the mainstream media in a way that I've not seen before. And I think it's only going to get bigger and bigger. Now, every time there's a UFO story, for example, recently, just this last week, we've seen a pilot sighting involving two separate aircraft in Arizona. And in the old days, these sorts of stories, if they were covered at all, they would have been covered with a sort of a mocking tone. But now it's all deadly serious. Suddenly it's on the mainstream news, and people are talking quite openly about the pilots discussing this with air traffic control. What do the FAA have to say? So we have seen this fundamental rebranding of this subject, and absolutely, going back to your question, there is more to come. Now, whether this is the holy grail of ufology, the disclosure with a big D that people in the UFO and conspiracy community talk about, I'm not so sure. I think what it is disclosure with a little d. The British government, a little closer to home for me personally, is in the final stages of a program to declassify and release their entire archive of UFO files. We in the UK have released nearly 60,000 pages of documentation on this. So there's a lot out there, and there's more to come.
Related to kind of technology, we've been studying a lot about quantum computers. And I was just curious if you have any understanding what's kind of going on with the quantum computers.
The whole issue of quantum computing is absolutely bizarre. I think you'd need a sort of really good understanding of theoretical physics to truly understand what they're trying to do or explain it. I think the way that I sometimes characterize it is to say that traditionally computer memory and processing power, I think we're all familiar with bits and the idea of binary information that can be either effectively ones or zeros. But in the bizarre and spooky world of quantum mechanics, quantum physics, something can be in a number of different states simultaneously. So all the old limits on speed and processing power, if this can be engineered, go out of the window. Well, I don't pretend to understand the ins and outs of it, but what I do know is that progress is taking place at a staggering pace. And there's a lot of good information out there on the internet. There's a lot of bad information on the internet too, but if you go to some of the scientific and academic papers that have been published on this, and it really is one of those cases where what sounds like science fiction may well turn out to be science fact.
Yeah, it's really interesting because so Geordie Rose, who he was the creator of the D-Wave that Google is using. He was kind of vague the way he was kind of putting it, but basically that these are running on almost like a parallel universe on this quantum level.
Oh, they're talking about parallel universes as if it's already an accepted concept, right? We've been researching this for a little while, and it's, as you said, it's just very bizarre to us. Even more than that, just how the quantum computers will be able to adjust themselves and upgrade themselves.
And well, this absolutely gets into the wider debate about artificial intelligence, and of course we know the warnings that people like Elon Musk have sounded about that. But yes, you'll have arguably computers which will go beyond their own programmers, and that raises almost philosophical questions about consciousness and at what point does something become self-aware. And I know we are now segueing into discussion of Terminator and Skynet probably, but those questions are out there and they're being asked. And a fascinating thing when you listen to some of the people working on this is they say that when the original computers were developed, they had in mind a very narrow range of tasks for them. And when you look at the modern world, what we're dealing with is a situation where the designers of these original computers did not foresee the things that we now use computers for. So when you think about quantum computers and what might this lead to, the smart answer, the really smart answer is nobody knows, but probably something we haven't thought of yet.
It's a really good answer. I guess one final question here. What motivates you to keep you going? You know, what's kind of, and I guess another way of asking is, what's more of like your personal philosophy on life? Like, how do you look at life?
Well, I think that all of this is a journey, and it's a journey of discovery, and it's a journey where I think the human experience is that we want to expand and grow and learn, and we want to climb a mountain not just to get to the top, but to see what's on the other side of it. And I think that's part of what it is to be human, and I think that the quest for knowledge about this is what keeps me personally going. I mean, after all, questions such as, are we alone or not in the universe, and are we being visited? Those are some of the biggest and most profound questions we can ask ourselves. Why wouldn't we want to try and find out answers? I know I do, and that's what keeps me involved in all this.
Same thing with us too.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing this show.
That's right.
To find the answers.
Well, so you're going to be at the conference, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes, I will be at Contact in the Desert June 1st through to June 4th at Indian Wells at the Renaissance Spa and Resort. Fantastic environment, beautiful surroundings, interesting people. This is going to be fascinating, and it's going to be fun. I will certainly look forward to meeting a whole bunch of old friends and some new ones there. So go to contactinthedesert.com for more information.
And I hope you don't mind if a couple of bums come up to you and say hello while...
I will look forward to seeing you in person. And by the way, for anyone wanting more information about my own work on this, and specifically my government research and investigation, nickpope.net is my website, and that also has my Facebook and Twitter.
Nick, thanks so much for joining us. We
Yeah,
really appreciate your time, and it's been really interesting hearing all of your explanations for these things.
Yeah, thanks so much, Nick.
That's great. It was really good chatting to you, and I look forward to meeting you in person at Contact in the Desert. Thanks. Okay, bye now.